Quote of the day today comes from a band that I hope some of you have heard of. You guys ever heard of the Eagles?
No.
Thank you, Gianna. Hotel California. No. Classmates. What?
Is it your brother's CD, Gianna? Yeah.
Kind of ironic that Gianna's brother's carrying around the CD today. Anyway, one of the quotes is, "So oftentimes it happens that we live our lives in chains, and we never even know we have the key." The key to the chain. It's deep. It's deep stuff. All right, do now today. You guys have everything ready to go. We're on page 452 to get your books in class today. And here's your question. All right. We talked about the movement west before the Civil War. That was the last thing we talked about before we jumped into issues of slavery, the different battles that involved in the Civil War, and the Reconstruction period after the Civil War. All right? Let's get back to the movement west. Now that the Civil War is over, what kinds of things do people need to survive in the new territories and the new states out west? Make me a simple list. What kind of things do people need to survive in the new territories and states out west? All right. Before we move forward with the notes, let's talk about the homework. All right, you have two different excerpts there. All right, one from ancient Athens, and I told you the history behind it. All right, this is Pericles' funeral oration. All right, given, let's say 200 BC, roughly around that period. Below is the Gettysburg Address, November of 1863. All right, what similarities did you guys see between the two? Arnolfo, give me one.
That if it wasn't for their brave men, they wouldn't have found their home.
So both speeches.
They both that the homeland was found by men who knew their duty and had the courage to fill it.
Okay, so what's the subject of both speeches? Who are both men talking about?
The soldiers that gave their life.
Soldiers who gave their lives. Okay, good. So both speeches are about, frankly, about dead soldiers. Okay? A group of soldiers in Athens who died during the Persian Wars, and a group of soldiers in the United States who died in the Civil War. All right? Now, what are the common themes that both men, Pericles and Lincoln, talk about in regards to these dead soldiers? Give me a quote from the text that shows that both men want to use these soldiers as an example. That we should look to these soldiers as an example. Jasmine.
Make them your examples and estimate courage to be freedom and freedom to be happiness. Do not wait to nicely of war.
So we're about 3/4 of the way down on the Pericles paragraph where it says, make them your examples. And esteeming courage to be freedom, and freedom to be happiness. Okay, so we are using these soldiers as an example in regards to freedom, fighting and sacrificing themselves for freedom. What about Lincoln? Arnolfo.
I think it's in the end. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, while they can never forget what they did here.
What they did here, but how about using them as an example, though? We're not going to forget what they did here, but why not? Why shouldn't we forget?
Because they sacrifice themselves to save the rest of their country.
So the example that they're setting in both speeches involves sacrifice. Sacrifice, not just sacrifice, but sacrifice for your country. For Pericles, it's Athens. For Abraham Lincoln, it's the United States. All right, but both men have the same theme to their speech. We have these departed soldiers. We have this great example of a sacrifice that they made. Okay? For Lincoln, we can also look at that last part of his speech, the very, very last paragraph. Okay? That from these honored dead we take increased devotion. Because these men, these honored dead, sacrificed themselves for their country, we should increase our devotion to that country. Okay? Anybody else have another similarity? How about some other themes? Okay, these men are an example for their sacrifice. They're also an example why. What else? What other attributes did these men have in order to make that sacrifice? Courage. Luis. Loyalty. Loyalty to your country. Okay? Good. Anything else? Again, what are they sacrificing themselves for? The country. Okay? For Lincoln, it's a government of the people, of the people, by the people, for the people. Okay? For Pericles, it's the glory of Athens. He talks about Athens as the light, the example for the rest of the world, the rest of the Greek world especially. Okay? What about some differences? Gianna?
And what's his name? Pericles?
Uh-huh.
In his speech, in the beginning, he kind of focuses on how beautiful Athens is and how the soldiers have to live up to Athens' standards.
So the soldiers in Greece have to live up to Greece's expectations. What about in Lincoln? Gian? What's the difference? I mean, where do you find that to be a difference?
He doesn't really, I mean, he talks about how the nation is he just doesn't talk as much about it as he does.
That's good, all right. So it's basically just a different focus. Okay, Lincoln doesn't exactly discuss like the beauty of America, the sea to shining sea, the amber fields of grain, the amber, whatever. All right, he doesn't really discuss that in the Gettysburg Address, while Pericles kind of uses Athens and describes the beauty of Athens. Yes.
In Pericles' speech, he only talks about the Athenian soldiers, and in Lincoln's speech, he talks about both sides of the soldiers.
Interesting. Lincoln discusses both sides. Pericles is not giving a speech to honor the dead Persian soldiers. He's honoring only Athens, only the Athenian soldiers. Lincoln talks about both Union and Confederate. Okay? Those who died that the nation might live. Okay? He's not talking about just the Union soldiers. He doesn't stress that. He just says the honored dead. He says everyone on this battlefield. Okay? Important difference. What else? Focus, the same themes of sacrifice and courage and loyalty, the same idea that these men should be an example to the rest of their citizens. Okay? These speeches took place about 2,000 years apart. All right? So these types of things haven't changed since ancient times, these ideas. Right? It shows you how much in American society, in American government, we rely on the ideas and the examples of ancient people, particularly Greece and Rome. Okay. Does anybody have any questions on this assignment? Any lingering thoughts? Okay, good. Can I erase this now?
Yes.
Are you sure? People who didn't do it and might turn it in for late credit, can I erase this now? Alright, what about the do now? Let's change our focus again to after the Civil War. What kind of things do we need out west in order for our people to survive? Needs in the west. Jasmine.
Protection.
Protection. Gianna.
Wood.
What?
Wood.
Lumber. Munoz.
Government.
Okay. Stable government. Natalie. Excuse me? Food. No folk.
Transportation.
Transportation. I'm gonna star this one. Maribel?
Shelter.
Shelter. Jasmine?
Money.
Carter?
I have material. Material
What kind of material?
for
Like home furnishings? Curtains? Chair?
Couch.
Furniture?
Yeah, it's optional.
Stoves to cook?
It's optional.
They didn't have stoves.
Huh?
They didn't have stoves.
They did.
In the 1800s?
Benjamin Franklin invented
They had
Benjamin
like
one
those
Franklin
in
weird,
Franklin
fire.
stove.
you know those weird,
Don't know what they did,
weird
like
old
market.
ones.
They had fire.
Munoz. Brandon?
Law.
Stable government / law?
Yeah, you got slack.
Last one, Gianna.
It goes along with the protection and shelter for like weather when that tornado hits. They need like
Insurance.
protection
Insurance.
from.
So,
Triple A.
we look at shelter, we can go shelter, we need strong shelter.
Like underground. Because they said that it needs to be like bolted to the ground or something.
Everything
Or
needs to
else
be
they'll
bolted to the ground.
Then we made
So we bolts.
So tools, we'll go tools. Alright, when I look at this, I'm looking at, alright, equipment, home furnishings, clothes, tools, medicine, water maybe from, you know, the rivers or such, food they can get from hunting, lumber, okay, all this stuff, lumber, medicine, hunting equipment, farming equipment, furnishings, clothes, tools, where are they going to get it? Stores. Where are the stores going to get it?
Factories.
It has to come from factories. And all the factories are where?
in the north.
In the north, but also east or west?
West. No.
East. All the factories are in the northeast. We talked about Massachusetts, Lowell, Massachusetts, and all the factories that kind of spring up around the northeast. Okay? How do they get from the northeast to the west?
a train.
A train. That's why transportation is star. Because it's the railroad that's going to bring this stuff. The hunting equipment, the farming equipment, the tools, clothes, furnishings, lumber, medicine. It's the railroad that's going to bring that stuff west. Okay? That's the importance of the railroad. So when we talk about the railroad as a post-Civil War construction project, it's really what transforms the West.